I had this whole video all set on Joe Mixon getting his contract extended, and I had Leonard Fournette. We were going to talk about what team he's going to, and then all of a sudden, Alvin Kamara's on the trading block. What is going on? It's only Tuesday. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Oh my God, there's way too much news for this episode. Grossi. And yeah, we're going to talk about all those things that I just said. But before we get to that, we got a bunch of shout outs and thank yous to brand new patrons and brand new YouTube members. We got a list. I haven't done it in 3 days. First, over on the Patreon side, we got Greg Morin, we have Noah Finley, Amit Karmi, we have Joseph Ogden, Raymond Knight, Max Pickett, Ernest Nez, Grayson Moore, and of course, Luke Birch going up. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. And over on the YouTube member front, we got Hunter Jacobs, Nick Conlin, Dan DeMan, 2K4, and RPM. A big shout out and thank you to all the brand new patrons and YouTube members. It is greatly appreciated. So let's just take this one story at a time, shall we? Because there is a lot to digest here. Let's talk about Leonard Fournette first. So Leonard Fournette obviously was released yesterday by the Jacksonville Jaguars to the surprise of a good amount of people. Now, this is coming after, Leonard Fournette did not really do amazingly well last year, only scoring 3 touchdowns, but still rushed over 1,100 yards, and he also had over 500 receiving yards. And this is coming after a year of the Jaguars trying to deal Fournette out and being like, hey, somebody take him, but apparently they couldn't get a 5th, they couldn't get a 6th, they could get no picks for Fournette, leading to his release on Monday. Now, coaches have come out and said that it has to do with what has happened on the field during training camp, and they think that they can replace him. Now, this is coming fresh off the heels of the Jaguars getting rid of Ngakoue and trading him off to the Vikings, and this is just basically saying, yeah, we're committing completely and totally to the tank. Or the coaches are saying we actually believe in the guys who are in the running back room right this second and think that we can easily replace Fournette, whose production last year wasn't really the greatest. And this is a pretty big fall for Fournette. He was the 4th overall pick in the 2017 draft, and in 3 years, he's had 2,600 yards and 17 touchdowns. And on top of that, he's had 666 attempts, Satan, in 3 years, which is the 5th most in the league. So the guy has been the workhorse. So even when he's not putting up amazing TD numbers, he still has been getting the bulk of the carries, more than the vast majority of the other running backs in the league. Now the question becomes is, where is Fournette going to go, right? He's 25 years old. I would imagine some team would pick him up. However, he went unclaimed on waivers because they had until 4 p.m. today. And so maybe it just seems like, again, there's not a huge market for him. Now, if I had to be a gambling man, I would imagine that if somebody gets hurt, someone gets out because of COVID, they'll be calling up Leonard Fournette. However, let's talk about teams that could potentially utilize his services. You have the New England Patriots, right? They have Sony Michel. They are used to kind of having a revolving door of running backs. I wouldn't be surprised because Bill Belichick would be able to pick him up for next to nothing. And so basically they would be able to sign Cam Newton and Fournette for next to nothing. So yeah, that makes us all feel good on the inside. He theoretically could just take a trip down the road to Miami and go to the Dolphins. He also could go to the Washington football team because Darius Geis is, in a bit of hot water, and Adrian Peterson's not going to last forever either. And so this could be an opportunity for Fournette to, show that he still has it. Also, Sean McVay came out and said, hey, we think Fournette's a good player, but we're really happy with who we have in the running back room right now. So it doesn't look like he is going to go to the LA Rams. And this is not the only running back news that has come out today, because Joe Mixon, the Bengals running back, has just signed a 4-year, $48 million extension. And rightfully so. I think Mixon is one of the more underrated running backs in the league. And the past 2 seasons, he's put over 1,100 yards in each of those seasons. And so this is a nice extension for Joe Mixon, who obviously dealt with some injuries earlier in his career and has kind of proven that he can be their featured back. Obviously, they've locked down their QB of the future in Joe Burrow, and now it's just slowly but surely building up that offense. But the shocker that came out today is apparently according to Josina Anderson, the former ESPN reporter, is that Alvin Kamara is on the trading block. Now, if you haven't heard a lot about Alvin Kamara actually hasn't been to training camp for the past 3 days, and he is holding out into what many believe is because of his contract. He is obviously one of the best backs in the league, and he is not getting paid like that because he's entering his final year of his rookie deal. And so he's like, hey, I want more money. And I have to think that the Saints are going to pay him. It came out that Kamara played with a torn MCL in 2019, so he kind of just gutted through it. And he is a huge part of their offense. He's incredibly dynamic. He's great in the passing game. He's obviously great on the ground. And I think that they're going to be forced to pay him. However, the interesting thing is, we've talked about this before with Dalvin Cook, under the new rules, it really doesn't make a lot of sense for any player to hold out. It makes them not only lose a ton of money, but on top of that, if they don't play, they're not going to get this season counted towards their contract, and they're going to have to wind up staying with them for longer. Now, theoretically, what the Saints could do is they play out the final year of the career, and then they could franchise tag him if they really wanted to keep him for another year. And the number floating out there is about $15 million per year. They think he's an elite running back. I imagine he's going to get paid like that. But with all these running backs getting paid, like Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones on the horizon of maybe, if we talk about Dalvin Cook is going to be a free agent, you know, it does make sense that Kamara does get paid here. And I can't even imagine what he would go for if they were to trade him, or what team he could even go to, because whatever team Kamara went to, he would make significantly better. And no, he's not going to the Packers. We literally just drafted a running back, so don't even ask me. So it's going to be super interesting to see if Kamara is actually dealt. Maybe this is the Saints of just trying to use this as a bargaining chip, or potentially just saying, hey, let's field some offers, and if there's an offer that blows us away, we'll trade away one of our best players. They do have Latavius Murray, who filled in really nicely when Kamara was out, but they are two completely different backs. Latavius Murray is kind of the thumper. He runs in there. He blows up defensive lines. He's that goal line guy, while Kamara is kind of just be used all around the field. So if, again, I was a gambling man, I would imagine Kamara is going to get a payday. However, I don't know if holding out is going to be the way to do it. So we'll see if he gets a contract, you know, less than a week and a half until football. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think Kamara is going anywhere? Do you think Mixon was overpaid? Where do you think Leonard Fournette is going to go? Let me know what you think. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. We are about 200 subscribers away from 100,000. So we'll be hitting it this week, and I could not be more excited. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.